as a country. It's befuddling. So, we've made ourselves international beggars. We are the typical fool surrounded by water, yet thirsty. We are now the #1 gold producer in Africa, and some would say by extension, looking at our production globally. We've ousted South Africa, which took over in 2021. We're the #2 world-leading producer for cocoa. In fact, about a year ago, I don't know about currently, but we were the #1 exporter of yam anywhere in the world. The trajectory shows that we have what it takes. Natural resources, population, and a working population. I'm talking labor here. So we have the tools for industrialization. We have the manganese and bauxite that will be used in the steel industry for rapid industrialization. We have timber. Of course, Galamsey is also playing its negative role. Diamonds, oil, lithium. We have everything. So my questions then to you. Why do we still beg? Why have we not broken the cycle of begging? How do we get out? Dr. Iddrisu. Is Dr. Saad Iddrisu with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying that to be able to do that, we need to revisit what I was emphasizing on. You see, we haven't developed our laws enough to be able to hold leaders accountable. And when you have such loose laws, believe me, anybody at all that you put in there, at the end, will end up being corrupt. At the end, will end up doing what you least expect that they will even do. So that is why I'm telling you that if you go back to look at all our borrowing history, we've had HIPC that, were forgiven through the debt swaps and all that, but still we ended up back again in the debt crisis. So it tells you that until we are able to put a cap on borrowing, and Ben, I don't want to even take it as the American system. We can design a total different system. That is why I said I have been talking about this excessive borrowing since March last year, 2022, that we should stop it. We should put a limit on borrowing. That is the only way that we'll be able to focus on the domestic economy. By looking at our gold, by looking at our cocoa, because currently what we have is that we have all these natural resources, but at the end of the day, the revenue doesn't even stay in Ghana. How many Ghanaian companies, local companies, are actually into our gold mining, into our oil production? That is the question that we should ask. So if you have all these industries, that at the end of the day, they are only capital flies. You can never develop your domestic economy. You always resort to borrowing. See, the textbook economics will tell you that you should borrow or you should be able to raise taxes. All the time, raise taxes. We have raised taxes to cripple businesses in Ghana. Right now, businesses are moving to Cote d'Ivoire and neighboring countries, waiting for the next government to come in 2025 and they will come back. We have crippled our own savings system with too much taxes on government employees, because basically they pay most of the taxes to the point that they are not even able to save enough to be able to think of even doing something meaningful with them. That is why I said these are all textbook economics. Do Saudi Arabia tax its citizens? Do they even have income tax in Saudi Arabia? Do they even have sales tax? Qatar, Dubai, UAE, do they even have sales tax or income tax? So we have to look into our local economy and see how to move away from just the textbook or the theoretical economics, what they are telling us to do. Because if taxes are so good, Dubai, Qatar, all these Middle East countries, or all these Arabian countries, they will have imposed taxes on their citizens.
Two angles to look at. Sorry for intervening in your train of thought.
I'm not saying taxes is not good. Let me be frank, because as an economist, I believe in taxes, but over taxation will end up crippling the economy. That is why I said we have to really move away from theory into practice. Let's not look at what the textbook is telling us to do. Let's look at our local economy. Because Malaysia didn't develop by going through the textbook scenario, borrow taxes. Saudi Arabia is not doing that. Qatar is not doing that, right? And all the resources that you have, been counting, they have it too. How have they been able to manage their oil revenue such that you and I will even want to go to Dubai and do our shopping because it's tax-free? Why can't we have such a system? So it tells you that until we are able to stop our leaders from excessive borrowing, they will never put their attention on the domestic economy. And again, there's something interesting about, especially like the IMF bailout. Observe something. In 1999, we took 300 million, right? Towards 2000, which was an election year. Then if you come back again, 2003, we went back to IMF and took 244.7. 24 was an election year. Is that not it?
Right.
2015, we went and we took 900 million. Then 2016 was an election year. Now, 2023, we are seeking 3 billion, and 2024 is going to be an election year. So there is it's like we are not really borrowing to stabilize the economy. We are borrowing for an election purposes. Let's be straightforward with that.
Okay.
And believe me, 2024 election, mark it on the wall. There will be more money in the system. Just mark it on the wall. And NDC is not going to have it easy with MPP. Because whatever funds coming in is purposely geared towards election. I will say it plain and simple. Because that has been the trend of our IMF bailout since 1999 all the way to today. You understand? So if we don't go back to the laws, the root cause, whereby we can say that, hey, you cannot come in as a government and do whatever you want with our future. Because at the end of the day, if the government decides to double our national debts in 7 years, if a government decides to double or triple our national debts in 4 years, they will live with their family rich. But your generation, our grandchildren, my grandchildren, our kids, they will suffer the impact. So whilst children in Malaysia will grow up to a beautiful economy, our children or our grandchildren will grow up in a debt crisis economy where unemployment will thrive. And again, as Prof rightly said, I totally agree with agriculture. Believe me, we can't move forward until we are able to feed ourselves. You cannot attain economic sovereignty on hunger. That is never done.
Right.
You cannot attain economic sovereignty on other people's food. That is food import. That is never done. Look at even US. Even US, the textbook, they tell you that US doesn't subsidize their farmers. But they do. They have different ways of doing it. So why will they come to Ghana and tell us that we should remove subsidies for our farmers? Then we will go by what they say.
Again, I guess the point of just following hook, line, and sinker, what is profit for us,
because
without contextualizing.
Exactly.
Right.
Because whoever that feeds you definitely controls you.
Right.